The only thing that had comforted Lilius was the fact that her papa had gone to be with Jesus in heaven. She could never remember a time when she hadn't heard about Jesus from her mama and papa. They were Christians, and they brought up all of their children to believe. But that still left the teenager with questions. Why did God allow Papa to die? She asked her mother. Why didn't he make him better when he was ill? Perhaps you have asked these same questions when someone you loved died. And the only answer, and probably the one that Mrs. Trotter told her broken-hearted daughter, is that God always does what is right, even if it seems wrong to us. Papa's death has changed Lilius, Jacqueline told her mother. She's always been nice, although I do remember her tiger lily days. But she's somehow more soft and gentle now. Mrs. Trotter smiled. Yes, I've noticed that too. It's as if she's trying to shine a light in our home to make up for your papa not being here. Both Jacqueline and her mama suspected that Lilius had become a Christian. It probably was about the time that she lost her earthly father that the teenager came to know her heavenly Father as her best of all friends. One evening, Jacqueline, Emily, and Lilius were sitting on a window seat talking. The two younger children were sound asleep in their beds. Everything's different now, Emily said. Lilius was puzzled. What kind of everything? She asked. Well, Kutz is at university in Germany. And I wish that I was with him, said Lilius. I'd love to be studying science. It's so interesting. Emily ignored her and went on. William's working in the city, and, well, he's a grown-up man now. Henry's in India with the Royal Engineers, and even Edward's away from home. Jacqueline thought that this was a little dramatic. Edward's only at King's College, she reminded her sister. He's not that far away. But he's going to Oxford next year, Emily pointed out. That was quite true. In fact, all of these things were. It was true things had changed. There was another big change about to take place, and the time had come for them to hear about it. Girls, said Mrs. Trotter later that evening, there's something I have to tell you. Since their father died, Jacqueline, Emily, and Lilius had grown up a great deal, and they realized from their mother's tone of voice that this was going to be a serious talk. All three sat still and waited. I know you love this house, began their mother, and I love it too. All my memories of your dear papa are here. However, now that the boys are up and away, it's far too big for us. We're going to have to move. But where will we go? All three girls asked together. We've always lived in London. Mrs. Trotter smiled. We're not going to leave London, she said. In fact, there's a house just 6 blocks away in Montague Square that I think would suit us nicely. Tell us about it, said Lilius. Then she sat back to listen. The teenager had an artist's imagination and an artist's eye. If she heard something being described well, she could picture it in her mind. Well, it's number 40 Montague Square, and it's part of a 4-story terrace. The building is made of brown brick, though the ground floor is faced with white stone. There's a wide front door with steps leading up to it, and above the door there's a very pretty fanlight. I like fanlight windows above doors, said Jacqueline. They make the inside so bright and cheery. Well, it certainly is very bright and cheery inside, her mother told them. From the hall, you can look right up through all 4 floors to a lovely window in the roof. That's called a cupola, Emily told her sisters. Mrs. Trotter agreed. I think all the houses in Montague Square have cupolas, come to think of it. Do they all look the same from the outside? Asked Jacqueline. Almost, but not quite. Number 40 has white stone round the windows, and the others don't. Before very long, the Trotter family had moved to their new home. Life had indeed all changed. It was an exciting time for the girls, especially, but Also a sad time, for they all missed their father very much indeed. Lilius's older sisters had finished with schoolwork, but she and her younger sister and brother still had lessons at home each day. "I wish I could do your lessons," young Alex said. "German sounds interesting. English is just boring." Laughing, Lilius explained that he had to learn English before he could learn German. "Well, then I'll do French instead," the boy announced. Her sister smiled. "I am afraid it's the same with French. If you don't know English grammar, you're never going to learn to speak French well either." The Trotter girls never went to school, though their brothers did when they were older. To start with, they had governesses who taught them all the usual kind of lessons. Then they had language teachers from both Germany and France. Of course, that meant that they learned to speak German and French very well. Because Lilius had a good voice, she also enjoyed singing lessons. But although she was a really fine artist, she only had one short course in drawing. All the rest she simply learned by going to exhibitions in London and visiting famous galleries abroad.